Hi, today I'm going to show you how to import a custom 3D model into Halo Reach. All you will need is Blender, Assembly, and Forerunner's model importing tool. Today I'll be importing a Condor over the base Pelican model. As an example, I'm going to import the Pelican model, which I extracted directly from Halo Reach, and you can see it'll look like this. We'll be using this as a reference very quickly. Set the scale to 0.01, and as you can see, I've already aligned my Condor with it. And the way I did that was by orienting the front on the positive x-axis and then doing the rotation over the x-axis by typing R, then X, then 90, and you can see it is now rotated onto its right side, and this is the orientation all of your models will need. You can also see that I've got my wings as separate objects. The reason I've done that is because I want them to rotate like proper Pelican wings once in game. Since I'm doing this over the Pelican, and the Pelican has wing nodes that rotate, if I align these just right, like this, when they're in game, they will rotate properly. So that's what I've gone ahead and done. I'll delete my Pelican. Before I export, I'm going to select all meshes and make sure to triangulate faces on them, like so, and all of them must be triangulated. Let's export. When you're exporting, make sure that you uncheck write materials here. Now then, pull up Assembly and the Model Converter tool. Select your game as Halo Reach, set your vertex format to skinned, and now we're going to open up whatever map has the model we want. For me, I'm doing the Forge World with the Pelican model on it. What I'm going to do is actually duplicate the Pelican really quickly, so we're not actually overwriting the original one. I'll name it the Condor, and I will let that load. Now, let's open up our duplicated model. Mine was, like I said, the Condor. We're going to need to grab the compression info from this mode, which should be around the middle of the tag in this compression info block. Let's start copying everything over into the model converter. Okay, we've got that. Now let's browse for our OBJ that we just exported, and then choose a folder that you want to put all of the extracted files into. I'm just going to paste in the folder that is right where my model is, and then click Read Objects from OBJ. Now we actually get to pick which node our models are attached to. Like I said earlier, I want my wings to be attached to the wing nodes of the Pelican. So first, let me find the hull, the main body, which is node 1. That's what I'm going to attach the main body of the Condor to. Then the left wing, I want to find the left engine right here. Left engine node is 7, so that's what I'll attach my left wing to. And then I need the right engine for the Pelican, which is 8, and I'll attach my right wing to the right engine node of the Pelican. Now I'm done setting it up, and I'll convert the model. It should give you a successful message. If not, you might need to retriangulate your model, or your model might be too big. Now you should get 4 files once you've gotten everything fully set up. You can ignore the fix up in the raw. These are useless now. Let's open up this tag data text document. This is what we're going to use to actually fix our model, and it's going to be relatively easy for us to do this. So scroll down to the meshes here, and then set the count to 1. Next up, you can see I have 3 mesh parts as part of my model, which means that the parts block and the subparts block are going to need to be 3 in count. So I'm going to expand both of these to the size of 3. Okay, great. Now we need to fix any of these that already exist and fill out the rest. So just as an example, I'm actually going to null everything out here. So now we're starting from a blank slate, including no flags ticked, and I'll show you exactly how to fill out these blocks. First things first, let's put the vertex count from our text document into every single vertex count entry here. So budget vertex count, scroll through every single part and subpart and put this in here. I shouldn't have actually nulled out the analytical light index, but this is another value you'll want to paste into all subparts. Put your analytical light index that's from the first part into all others. Next up, for all parts, set the transparency sorting index to -1. Another thing all parts will need is the part type of 2. So we've set those values for everything here. For all parts, subpart count will be 1, and then the subpart start should be equal to the index. So in index 0, it is 0. In index 1, the subpart start will be 1. And in index 2, the subpart start will be 2, etc. The same thing applies to the subparts. Part index should be equal to the index. So we'll go to subpart 1 and have part index be 1, and subpart 2, part index will be 2. Okay, we're nearly done. Now we just need to copy in these 2 values from each of these here. Now we just need to copy in these two values for each mesh part. So it's quite simple. We'll start back at our first index. It says the index buffer start, or index start, is 0 for both of these. Index buffer count is this number here. So we'll paste that into index count and index buffer count. And we'll move on to the next part. The start on this one, we'll paste it into the start, and we'll paste it into the start. Same thing with count again. And then we'll go to the last one. And we'll paste in these values in the exact same way with the start value for both of these and the count value for both of these. Now we've filled out every value here correctly. Once again, ensure you have no part flags checked. And the last thing to note here is that your render method index is actually the index of the materials block here. So because all of my render method indexes are 0, all materials will be pointing to this one. Now, because we've finished this section, we'll save and we'll scroll down below subparts right here. Just make sure that things are set exactly like this. Vertex buffer index 1 is 0, index 4 is 1, and the index buffer index is 0. Set your rigid node index to -1, it is very important. Set your vertex type to skinned if you imported with the skinned type. Set your lighting policy to single probe, and set your index buffer type to triangle list. And let's save again. Now our entire mesh block is fully filled out and ready to go. We are nearly done now. Let's quickly set up our regions here at the top. Because there were a bunch of meshes that we deleted, we basically just need one region to have our one mesh appear. So I'm going to quickly null out every single permutation on every region, and the way to do that is to set the mesh index to -1 and the mesh count to 0. Go ahead and do that for all permutations on all regions. Okay, it's important that you null out everything quite carefully or else your game may crash. Now, you have to pick a region where you actually want your model to appear on. Not every region will actually appear on all models. So you generally want to look for something like default or something of that sort. So I'm going to pick the region default, and to make it appear, I have to go through every permutation and set the mesh index to 0 and the mesh count to 1. I'll do that for the last one here, 0 and 1. And now the default region will be where my model actually appears on. Okay, final 2 steps, here we go. Let's import the tag C that was generated by the program earlier. Mine is right here, and I'll import it. Uncheck use existing shared raw pages, and I'm going to personally choose to rename the model on import. I'm going to rename it to Condor Data, and that works for me. And here's the final thing we do. We'll go to that model that we just imported, Condor Data. We're going to grab the zone asset info here, the index and the salt. So I'll grab the index, and I'm going to paste that into the model we've been editing this whole time as the index now. And I'm going to do the same thing with the salt. Okay, now we've made this our actual model that we exported. The last final step we have to do is go into the zone tag. In the tag resources block, we need to go to this index, 9238, and you can see pointing to the Condor data, which is technically broken. We're going to instead change it to the Condor that we've been editing the whole time, the model we've been editing the whole time, and save. This now means we can extract our good model at any time, and it will work. We're done now. I'm going to go in game and swap the Pelican model for this model, and we'll see what happens. Okay, here we are in Forge World. Now let's see. The scenery, vehicles, Pelican. And there we have it. If you follow these exact steps, you too can get your model in game. If you'd like, there is also a texture tool, which I do not have a tutorial for, but it is very easy to use. And you can also texture these models. But this is how you get your model in game. Hope it was pretty straightforward. Hope you enjoy the new tool. Thanks to Forerunner. What a god he is. That's all though. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.